Oh,
Okay.
you remembered. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I had no less than five people ask me to record it tonight, so I'll definitely do that. I appreciate everyone showing up tonight. I'm going to let Andy go ahead and do his presentation, and then we'll have other questions and topics when he's done. Go ahead, Andy.
So you've got the presentation on the screen now?
No, we don't.
Okay, do I have to do anything on my part?
You have to share it.
Share it. And let me see. Where is that? Up the top somewhere.
On my screen, it's down on the bottom.
Oh, I see. Okay, share. Okay. Content only, I guess. Okay, do you see my desktop now? Oh, there, yeah, have that big share button. Okay.
Okay, yeah, now we can see your desktop.
Okay. Minimize this. And F5, if I remember correctly. Okay, I think we're ready to go right now.
Yeah, it shows up well.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bill. Okay, first, just a few notes on the scope of the presentation. It is going to be limited mostly to the SeeStar. Of course, things that you see would be applicable to, I guess, other camera systems, especially if you've got darks and other types of files that you use for your calibrations and stuff. So we're going to review a little bit about where SeeStar came from and some additional open source tools that you can use to download and install that you're going to find very useful to try to improve upon what the SeeStar itself gives you, which is not always an easy task. Their AI has gotten very good lately. I'm going to be doing a live demo, and I'll show you a little bit of manual and automated script processing. So I'll be flipping back and forth between these two cards, basically, what you're seeing. I'm not going to get caught in the weeds with details on transferring files and how to download and do installations and things like that, and in-depth discussing on stretching and processing. We'll touch on some of this briefly, but I don't want to get too far into the weeds there.
Andy, are you going to provide us a copy of these slides, or should I try and write all this down as you're running through?
Oh, no. I can provide a copy. What I can do is at the end, Dan, should I just maybe include a link to maybe Google Drive that has the presentation in it, or I could just maybe email it directly. So if whoever just email,
Yeah,
send me an
Andy,
email.
just send me something, and I'll get it hosted on our thing and our group.
Okay.
And I typically put them in the newsletter as well.
All right. Okay. So just sit back and relax. Really, this is really just something for you to sit back and just get the flavor of what's going on. And I think if you can do that and sit and watch a little bit more and you get the general feel for what's going on, maybe that'll stick a little bit longer. Siril, it's a run on Linux, Windows or Mac system. It fills a gap left by Iris, which I know nothing about, but it's been undeveloped since 2005, so it's very old. The programming, as Steve mentioned earlier, is in C with parts and C++. And the main development was using the GNU Linux. For those of you who like to get into the technical details of operating systems. If you want more information about its pedigree and stuff, you can go to the Siril.org website, or you can open up that link below it, which I got from that website. So this really has its roots from quite a long time ago. There are going to be some helpful catalogs and tools that you're going to install with this along. And most of them are like star catalogs, star removal tools, background and gradient removal tools, noise reduction tools, and image processing tools. Although there is a whole bunch of these that come baked in to Siril without having to go back and download or install anything. The StarNet software integration is one you have to download and install it, but it is it's almost baked into Siril. What it can do is that it can take, if you've got an image of a nebula, it can remove the stars and give you a starless image, and it will save both of those so you can process them separately and recombine them. The thing is that you've got to do this if you're on like Windows, you're doing a command line only tool. You don't want to use any other type of installation because Siril is going to be putting out command lines. And so for it to work, you have it set up in like a command line tool. In my instance, I have it installed in Windows, the C program files, and it's going to create its own folder, and that's where it's going to install. If you're in Siril, if you just want to go by itself, and I'll go by it, and I'm going to review all the details on all of these live so you can kind of see some stuff once I get through a few of these slides. You click on there's the hamburger tool in the upper right hand corner. You go to preferences, miscellaneous, and you'll have to enter the path of where the program is. So you would enter that C program files, blah blah blah, into that spot, and that way Siril knows where to go to run the program. And it is, like I say, it is integrated into the processing tab, star processing. So that's already there, but you have to have it installed to make it work. Graxpert is another piece of software that's integrated in the Siril, but you have to install it to make it work. It removes gradient and removes noise in your photographs. In my case, this is where I installed it. These are mostly defaults that I let it pick. It did it under my username and under the app data, local programs, Graxpert. It's installed there, and you do it the same way as the StarNet, essentially. And it's integrated into the scripts tab under Python scripts and processing. It'll be there, so you'll be able to use it that way. So let me take a break here, and I'm going to go. Okay, let me see. How am I going to do this? You know what? This is on that right there. I'm trying to figure out how do I get out of the how do I stop this? Do I hit pause? Oh, did I lose everybody?
Yeah, we're here. Do you have Siril open already?
No, it's not open, unfortunately, not right now. Maybe I'm gonna stop the share for just a moment and open it and see if that helps. Oh, well, the problem I've got is this. I don't know how to pause this. I'm just gonna end it real quick.
We can see you.
Yes, I know. Regrettably, that's all you can see. I was thinking I could flip back and forth with here maybe I'll just talk off of this. I think most people can see.
You'll be able to flip back and forth if you share your screen instead of one app. But then you'd have to have have that entire screen. It works if you have two screens.
Yeah, okay. This is going to be maybe a little bit. Let me try it again, see what happens.
Okay, we got your
Okay,
Siril.
I've got the bar down at the bottom. I think I can make it work. There, I can flip back and forth to here. Okay.
Hey, before
So,
Andy goes,
and-
Andy, before you go any further, something I probably should bring up. If you haven't heard about Siril before, okay, ultimately it is a free program. So that's one advantage it has over PixInsight. It's not as powerful as PixInsight, but it'll do a really good job for a pretty long way. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
All right, here's the hamburger I was mentioning. So you have to go up here and go to preferences. And then you would go to, let's see, go back to my miscellaneous. That's right. Go to the miscellaneous down here. And all you have to do is you have to put you click on that folder and put your path to where StarNet is. And then down here, the same thing. And once that's done, you can go up to image processing. For star processing, here's for star recomposition. That would be once you've run the StarNet to put the images together. So this is where you would have star removal. It's not lighting up right now because I don't have anything that's loaded, but this is where you would do your star removal processing. I wish I could get rid of that bar at the top. Okay, there it is. Under scripts, you go under Python scripts, and under processing, there will be your Graxpert. Okay. The two star catalogs are available that I'm aware of. These star catalogs are used for plate solving, both the photometric and color calibration. They're available online, live, so you don't have to download these. But the thing is, if for some reason the internet's down or the site is down, you won't be able to use it because you're coming off the web. So what you can do is you can download them for offline processing. And the first one is K-Stars. It comes from a planetary program by the KDE community, and this is where you would find you download the compressed catalogs used by Siril from this organization right here. There are also plenty of YouTube videos on how to do this. The only thing I will caution about a lot of the YouTube videos is that a lot of it is for early models, early versions Siril, like 1.1 or 1.2, and then some of the sites have changed where they store the information. So this can be a little bit of an aggravation and challenge. You extract and move about 2.9 gigabytes, and so you have to be able to take that much space up and find a place to locate it. These are the four catalogs that you would have in there. You can see on this one, you get the photometric data and coordinates for about 100 million stars down to about 18th magnitude, which is pretty good. But wait, there's more. You could even go get the Gaia catalog, which it uses, the DR3, and it comes from the European Space Agency Gaia Space Observatory. It gives you the best astrometric accuracy. it'll give you higher star density in some of these sparse star fields that you might manage getting into. And it'll give you precise color if you pick spectrophotographic color calibration. It's recommended to go through Siril. You can actually go to the scripts, Python scripts, core, and then there is a catalog installer which will take you there and help you out. It has 13.4. I have 13.4 gigabytes downloaded on my database based on my home latitude. And these are the directories. This is for future use if you ever get involved in it. This is sort of where I've installed them.
And that can take up to an hour.
Yes, yeah. These can be, yeah, they can be kind of slow downloading.
Andy, does that installer script give you a choice of what catalog you want to install, or is that specific for the Gaia catalog?
I think Gaia doesn't give you a whole lot of specifics. It does give you, you can pick latitude to install. And that's generally what you do. I know that if you wanted to, you can get, I think just there are some other filters that you can use, but the filter that I used was basically for the latitude and how far up above the horizon you would want to get the data. So I picked like 5 or 10 degrees just to make sure, if I was going up north or south a little bit, I wasn't going to have any trouble finding objects and stuff. Once you complete this thing, you have to go through and enter some of these, as you did with the others, enter some locations in Siril. And those are found through preferences. Again, you go there and you go up to the astrometry. And there's a section down here where you put in the name stars data, you put in the path to that. This is all for your K-stars. You put in the path for these 4 right here. And then for the Gaia, you enter the path of where those are installed. And at that point, you hit apply and you'll have those databases available for you to use.
Hey, Andy,
Yes.
show under the Python scripts where to download, where it says the catalog downloads.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I meant the script button.
Oh, the script button. Yes. Yeah. This is for finding it. Yeah. The
Yeah.
get scripts right here.
Oh, no, in there also like get catalogs underneath there? Do I remember that? Oh,
yeah,
never mind. I'm sorry. That's a script that does that.
There's this core.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Siril catalog installer. It'll take you to this is where you would install it. And this is you'd install it and you've got your information that you put in there. And this doesn't appear to make a difference right here. Really, the biggest thing is you enter in these 2 fields where you've got the latitude and elevation, and that's usually good to go. And here's your path down here.
And really there, you're going to install 2 different things. Up at the top where it says install, that installs the Gaia catalog. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the stuff at the bottom is if you're going to do SPCC, and that'll set it up for, your latitude, longitude, the altitudes and stuff that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So that's the easiest way rather than going out and trying to find the information online right there. Now, it does come with some pre-installed scripts, and most of these Siril script files have this SSF extension on the files. And there's all of the Siril scripts that you have that come installed, pre-installed already. The default location is C program 5 Siril scripts. There are some other scripts that are available, and you go through the preference window, and I'll show you that in just a minute. And you can install some of these
Can
different.
I interrupt again? I'm scrolling through the list of available scripts to install, and I don't see anything about catalogs. So is there like another repository for scripts that I should have it added?
If you go to scripts,
Yeah. Scripts, get
there's a
scripts.
there's all these scripts. Now, if you want the Gaia catalog goes exactly only through that one.
I don't have any. I go to scripts, get scripts. Because if I don't do that, there's nothing.
There's nothing under here. You go to scripts, Python scripts. Oh, get scripts. Should take you to scripts, right?
I have core. Oh, there it is. Siril catalog installer. It's under core. That's it. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where you can just to look at these just briefly once again under the scripts. These are scripts that do a lot of different things. They can be they can aid pre-processing. They can be aids for processing, noise. There's a whole bunch of them. Most of these are free. There are some, however, that are not free, but they are available. They will run in Siril. Dan, there was a group. Is that the Star Terminators? That StarX Terminator? Was that the RC Astro?
Yeah, all the RC
participating.
Astro stuff.
Yeah, they are available. You would have to purchase them though, but they are they will work in Siril if you like the RC Astro stuff. So that is something that you can get. And people continue to add different scripts here all the time. It depends on what you're looking for.
You'll go nuts if you're looking for a particular script, you'll go nuts looking through that list. And so there is the magnifying glass just above there. If you type in into that field what you're kind of looking for, it'll filter everything out and it'll give you what you're really looking for. And then to install the script, you do have to put a check mark in the box over there on the right.
Oh, here. Yeah, on the right-hand side. Yeah, to install it. So this is pretty much boring sort of information. So only want to go through one more set of slides before we actually are going to start doing something that might be remotely more interesting, which is actually pulling up a file and running it and going through and using the program itself. One of the things you first have to do is that you have to have a work folder. That's where you're going to keep all your data. And it's called your working directory. And Siril's what it's gonna do is it's gonna find the data in the working directory, and it's also gonna write files to the working directory. So the usual thing to do is to make a subfolder named lights that you would have your files in for the SeeStar, and that's going to be inside your working directory. For instance, whatever my working directory is, if it's like in this case M46-WIP, I would have a lights folder under there. The darks are automatic for SeeStars. The darks are automatically captured and subtracted at the start of your session. So with a SeeStar, if you get halfway through and you want more darks, you would have to stop the session and restart the session, and it would you would get new darks at that point. But you could still take all those light files and clump them together because they subtracted out of the files. The flats are considered unnecessary, but if you want to, they are in the SeeStar. Let me see, where are we now on this? And so rather than going right here through some of these, which would be good, I think, for historical sake, let me go ahead and go into Siril for a second. This is what would happen when you open, we're actually using it, when you first launch Siril. It's gonna launch this command line, and it's showing you that it's doing all sorts of things. It's loading directories, loading scripts. All of that stuff is going to be here. Do not close this window. Keep that open. You'll notice over here.
It will close Siril.
It will close Siril. Here it is over here. You have a console over here on the right-hand side. You can see that it's basically going to reproduce everything that was in there. So if you needed to see that, most of what you need is going to be here. So the first thing you had to do, we talked about making a working directory. So what I did is I set up a folder called Digital SIG. And here's an object, Caldwell1. So I have a file here called C1. Now I'm going to do some processing, automated and manual processing, because I think there's a lot to be learned by both of these. Under each of these, there's a lights file, and the lights file has all of these fits that are stored in there. These, you copy only the fits files and you put them in your lights folder. And then in this case, the working directory would be C1 underscore auto, and this one would be C1 underscore manual. So let me go back and see which one of these I had here as, yeah, I basically did the automated processing. This is like the first stuff you would probably want to do. So you would go up to this little house, and you would go through and find out where, oh God, why did it pick that? I hate that. I'm gonna go, God, there, users, a walk. And where's my SeeStar? SeeStar. Digital SIG, C1. I'm going to do the C1 automated, and there's the lights. Don't go into the lights folder. The working directory is what's going to happen is the script is going to look for a folder called lights. So this is where you want to be. So you basically open that up, and it tells you right up here at the top what your working directory is. Okay. So once you've got your working directory there, come on, go away. You can go up to scripts, serial script files, and then come down. This is the very most basic automated process, SeeStar pre-processing script. So you click on it, and then it's going to go through all these different files. It's going to convert the files that you have from your SeeStar to something it can use. It's then going to sequence them and then do any corrections that are necessary, register them, and then start stacking. And we'll take a look at what it's done in just a minute. I'll show you what it's made. So you usually don't have to go back up into the console at all, but if you did want to go back up to the console, you can see that you can see everything that it's done. You can see all of this information from here, all the different files that it's made if you're interested in that. It's better to look at it here. See under auto, it's made a process folder right here. And it's also made a fit file that stacked everything, put it right in through here. And inside the process folder, you can see it's got a light sequence. It's got some fit files that it converted so that it can use stuff. And then it's got some pre-processing files that it made. And then toward the bottom, it's got some registered pre-processing files. It's doing, instead of doing it manually, it does all of that stuff automatically for you. So once you've got that, say, well, where is it? Well, you come up to open, and it's going to, when you hit open, it's going to go under your working directory, and it's going to show you everything that's there. You open up your fit file, so you can open it up. Now, it's unstretched at this point, but you can get a good look at it by just going down and hitting auto stretch just to see what it looks like. And lately, the AI and SeeStar can do some stuff to get rid of a lot of this, but you can look at that, and basically that's not a very attractive file right there. So there is room to work on that right there. And I'll show you as we'll go through more details later, but a lot of these little files it makes right here, and I'll show you just briefly some of these things like these PP light sequence and things like that. Those files, if you've done it manually, we're going to go into manual processing, so we'll have both of them to look at.
Andy, before you go
Yes.
into manual, can you go back to the script for just a second? The
Yes.
console. No,
Oh,
open
the
the
console.
console
Yes.
again
Yeah.
and scroll all the way up to the top where the script started. Oh, there.
Okay.
And that
Yeah.
is that blue, colorblind me. But people who make scripts, if they do a good job, they'll tell you in that what's needed. And so they'll give you the structure. And so in there, it'll probably say, oh, and put everything in the lights folder. But if you were doing something that was like LRGB, they might say, oh, and you need an R1 and you need a G1 and you need a B1, or put everything in here. And so those are important to know about, because if you try to run a script and it fails, probably you didn't do something that it says in there. Thank you.
And
Andy, one question.
yes.
Uh, it looks to me like in this script there were no darks or flats applied to the
Right.
images. That's correct? Okay.
Yes, there are other scripts that you would have. These require those. These ones that are up here, these will require darks, flats, and any of your other types of files that you need for your calibrations and stuff like that. Those you'll have to have those files for these, because they will. If I take a SeeStar file and try to run one of these, it'll go, you're missing files, and it'll stop. So it won't. They won't do anything at all. So this is just this one pre-processing script was written specifically for SeeStars. Specifically for SeeStars. Now, one thing I wanted to show you, just as a general navigation tool, if you hold down your control button and roll and you click on this, let me see. There's your. If you want to move it, you can left mouse button, hold your control key, and you can move it around. Your mouse can scroll, so you can move it up anywhere you want, and you can scroll in or scroll out right here. Okay, come on. There we go. Now, what you would do is that if for some reason you've had a bunch of traces over here, you can take, because you have those, you can go over here to search where is it? Sequence. Search sequences. Why am I having trouble with this? You can. Oh, I know why. Because I'll have to. Well, I'll just show you right now before we get into manual processing. Here's my working directory, C1 Auto. So if I want to go through and take out those trails and go through some manual processing, I would have to change to the process folder as my working directory. Once I've done that, when I hit search sequences, there are the sequences right there that I would have. And those are the ones you would, and we'll go through this a little bit later. You go through and you can go through, like if you're on this plots over here, you can go through, and I'll work on that once we get there. I think I'm a little out of sequence here, but that's where you would go, and you could go through each of the individual files and find the ones you don't want and remove them before you stack again. So let me go back here. Well, this has turned out to be terribly disorganized on my part. So We've done the automated processing. That gets you to a fit file. This is the file you would have if you, like I say, once before we leave this. It's in a linear state right here. This is what you have, unstretched file. That was all done that way. But there is a chance you might want to go through and do the manual processing, and it's done in 4 steps. And just to go briefly over what those 4 steps are, is that you have to convert the files into a form Siril can use. And these are the boxes that you would check, make sure you check. There are a few. Most of the time, I just go with the defaults, and they seem to work okay. If I knew more about the processing, I might pick different ones. You go through and pick these 2. You would symbolic link and debear. You would pick and convert. Once you've done that, you go and you register. And I don't use it says, for the most part, most people recommend don't do the 2-pass registration, leave it unchecked. And then you would go register. That's what makes these R files that you would get, and that RM sequence file that you would have. And it would be, and when you do it and manually, it's going to be in the cache folder. So once you've registered everything, you do some pre-processing, and this is, like I say, these are just basically for just as a reminder, or for record's sake later. I'll go and show you. I think it makes a lot more sense that way. So once you go through plots, and then once you plot and you start going through, you need to stack them. And at that point, I'll show you how to do some processing of that. I think that's really makes a lot more sense. So.
And that's the kind of thing you might have to do if you can't find a script that will stack everything for you.
And that does happen once in a while. So if I go here to manual, so I want to have C1 manual is the working directory. All my files that I have are under there. So then I go through open. I don't open yet. I'm going to leave that right there. We don't need to worry about that. Cancel. So to manually process, the first thing I have to do is go over to conversion, and I have to add. So there's nothing. What's it going to work on? Because I've not gone over to open like I did with the automated. So you have to add some stuff in here. So you click this. Click on the lights, you hit your Control A down, or whatever you do to select all your files. And you add. Those are all the SeeStar files that you've had. You add those in right there. That's what that's the first thing the script is doing. Now, we're doing everything that script does, but we're just going to take our time going through so you can see what's happening. Maybe I should have done this one first. Symbolic link is checked, so is debear, and you hit the convert button. And I've got to give it a sequence name. I'm sorry. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'll just call this manual. How about this? A little more descriptive. C1 man. And then I'm going to convert all these, and see there. If you go back up and you looked at the automated script, you would see it doing something similar to that. The next thing is you go to the sequence file. And all you have to do on this file usually is you've got to see the C1 manual. It's got manual.sequence. So there's a file that it's going to look at next for the sequencing, because that's the name of the data files that have been transformed so that it can work with it. And why does this happen to me? Where's
No, it's already selected.
yeah, it's already selected. Sequence, yeah.
For base name again.
Yeah. I don't know if it We just hit export sequence.
I'm looking at the source for the script and it doesn't bother to. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind.
Let me go back to my sequence. Uh, convert. Step 2, go to the registration tab. Okay, that was just, it's already got the sequence. Now we go to registration tab. Okay, I don't change any of these sequences. You can probably change them if you knew more about what you're doing. So for the most part, if you just go to register, it's going to take all of those files that you have and it's going to register them. And here's all the information that it's got based on, I guess, all the stars. It's got roundness parameters and other parameters that it uses. So what you can do after you've done that is you can typically go into stacking. So if you hit start stacking, it's going to go through and it's going to stack everything. Let's see, it's still working there.
Done.
So this is what you've got right there. Now you notice that green and stuff, that's kind of annoying. But if you go down here to this little next to auto stretch and you click that, it's because of the way that I think some of the I'm not really sure what it is, but if you go down here, it doesn't affect it's not a permanent save. It just changes what you're going to see in that auto stretch window. So you can see that it's going to need some work, but let's just say right now, you're not really happy with some of the files. You think you've got some problems. You might have some airplanes flying through or whatever. If you go back to the plot, there's a whole, you can get a plot of the frame number versus, and this one is the full width height, full width half max is a parameter. Here's a parameter number of stars. Here's some, but maybe a cloud came over, something. It doesn't have as many stars in that frame right there. It could be something about the background. I don't understand, but there's a big spike right there with background and or roundness. Maybe some of the stars aren't terribly round. Maybe it's because of you've got some tracking errors with the mechanisms or whatever. So what you can do is say for that, you can bring up down here at the bottom. You can go through and get a listing of all the fit files. And once you click into it, let me see if I can move this. You can then take your arrow key and you can see that little plus down there. You click on one of these and you can use the page down or page up, or you can use the arrow key. For instance, you can go down here. You don't want that one, hit a space bar. Use the arrow key here. You can go through like that. Hit a space bar. You can just decide whatever it is and the amount of roundness that you want. You know, if you don't want stuff that's round, out of round, you can go through and select out all the images. Sometimes when you get satellite traces through it, you can see those pretty well. The roundness one here, it's not not showing up terribly well, but you can see you can get rid of a lot of. There's also a global way of doing this. I believe you can just take this and select everything like that. Let me see. It's a little more picky apparently than. How about just let me do this? It's supposed to let me pick all that. Dadgummit. What happens when you don't use it after a long while. You get so you can do that. You could go to like I said, number of stars, and just pick an area there, and then hit the space bar, you get rid of that. And figure number of stars. If you got a low number of stars, you might have, it might be pretty hazy. So you can do something like that, or you can go to full width, half max. And
What is full width half max?
you don't full width half max. I'm not really sure, but it seemed it was a I don't know, to be honest. I did it one time.
It is a measure of how goodness of your star is. If you take the histogram kind of peak kind of thing, okay, you come halfway down from the top of the peak to the baseline, okay? You go halfway down, and then how wide is that peak? And the narrower it is, the sharper it is.
If I just pick, I'll just say I'll pick this as a reference image. Better yet, just go over here. Pick that as a reference image right there. I can close this off and go through and stack it again and start stacking. And it's going to start stacking only with those particular, I've culled out all the ones I didn't want. It can be like power lines or trees, tree branches and stuff, taking stuff out there. So at this point, and this is where it doesn't really matter what's we can go into. We've done all of this. We've gone through the first steps and stuff. It doesn't really matter. Yes.
And can I ask a question? So the process you were just showing us where you were going through the different flats and removing the ones that you didn't like, can you only do that if you're doing the manual processing and not using the script?
If you do this is where I've got it kind of little out of sync. If since you have those sequence files already, if you go over to sequence and you hit and you're in the process working directory, where you ran the automated stuff and it made that file called process. If you make that your working directory, it's going to have your sequences already done for you from your automated. So you go search sequences and it'll pop up and you select the one you want. You can then go through, do the registration, do the stacking, and go and pull that plot graph up and go through and look at all your files. It does not matter. It doesn't matter. You just have to make sure you change that working directory or you get confused like I did. So one way or another, we're just going to go through. I think what I was planning on doing is just going through some really basic processes.
Can I
What you
interrupt
can do?
that? Andy, let me interrupt for just a second.
Yes.
And I would truthfully say, yes, a SeeStar will stack your own things on the SeeStar itself. And then when you bring it over, and you copy the files over from your SeeStar to your computer, it will bring that SeeStar stacked image. Okay. And ultimately what you have just done, if you use it, is you skip everything Andy's done so far. And now Andy says, what's going to happen now can be done with the SeeStar image. But if you let Siril stack it, it'll probably be better.
Because you have more control over which subframes to reject.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it. And which directory are we supposed to change into? Because I'm looking and it looks like the home directory is still the C1 manual. So we change into that, not the processing directory, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No, that you ran through your automated process. There are two ways of getting this. See, right now, I still haven't saved this file. Because I'm doing manual, it's not saving. So what I would do is I would come in and see under C1 manual, I would C1 manual stacked fit. I'm going to save that. That's going to save. Oh, it already exists right there. So, okay, good. So it did create that file. So what we have right now is we have two files that have been stacked. One has been stacked with the manual process and the other one. The automatic can turn into manual just by moving into the process work directory, making that process folder your work directory. You can go through all the manual processing that way. Manual. Do it both ways. I mean, once you get comfortable and use it enough, you can flip-flop between the two. One doesn't really take a whole lot longer than the other. So I've got the file right now. If I'm looking at here, where's my file? Is it going to be at the, yeah, there it is at the bottom. If I wanted to open that, this is what it opened. So I can either, because see, this is auto stretched. If just like the other one, if I'm linear here, say, let me, if I take my working directory and we'll see automate, I'll bring out a fit file. You can see it's gonna, it basically looks the same. It's unstretched. So this one looks like this. You can start processing on either one that you want. It really doesn't matter. You do notice it's a little bit different. One of them, I guess I've removed some frames. That's kind of cleaned stuff up a little bit. All of these are unprocessed. Go back to the, and if I knew how to use GIMP well enough, I could bring both of them up, but I don't know how to use GIMP well enough because I'm still just kind of learning all of this. Well, that's going to be, okay. That's fine, worked. You can see it looks a little bit different. So going through and removing some of those files that I guess the background was bad or whatever, it did help clean it up some. So this is what I have from the auto stretch, but you don't want all you're going to do right now, and this would be the case for either manual or automated process, is you just keep it with an auto stretch right now because there's some pre-processing that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to make your background uniform. You're going to maybe take a little bit of noise out if you want to. Remove some green noise that's common. That would be, and you can do that while it's auto stretched and there's not a problem. And then you're going to want to do some plate solving so it knows where it's at so that it can get your colors correct on your stars. Because if it doesn't know where it's at, it won't know what color to make the stars. So what we can do right now with this, first thing I usually do is I try to get rid of, where is it? Remove green noise. You just hit that and it takes out some green noise right here. Let's go back to the console. Yep. But really the first thing is just make a selection, come in through here and crop this file, crop the image, and I'll hit crop. Okay. Now you can see there's still some of that gradient that's still in there. So one of the nice things they have is that you can go to the scripts because you took the time out to put in Graxpert, which I found out at least for SeeStar images, works extremely well to remove gradient. You've got the right background extraction. Let's do this first, just for giggles. If you go through and you do background extraction, which is a function that's in here, and you hit generate, all of these things, let's do a fewer number of them. All these little red squares cover areas that you're going to call background. So you have to go through and take out the ones that have stars in the middle of them. And what it will do is it'll make your background more uniform. There's a whole variety of methods to do that. Some are AI, some are not. That can do that method for you automatically. And it's going to depend, which one works best is going to depend on the files you have. Some of them just never work right for me. Grexpert, for some reason, appears to work very well. So this slider is kind of like the strength of the background correction that it's going to make. So you can just click apply, and it's going to run. See how it kind of cleaned up a little bit of stuff? So we got rid of all of that background. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop out some more of this noise that we have right there. And right now, I'm going to go up to, remember, so one of the things I mentioned that you might want to do ahead of time is do some plate solving, and that's this astrometry. You'll go here and you do the plate solving. Now, if you don't have all of this metadata up here, you need to put the name of the image you have up there and find it, and you'll see if it's registered, you'll see that you're on the correct one. But with all this metadata up there, it's generally not needed. So all you have to do is click. Once again, I just use the defaults and stuff. See, it's got my focal length for the SeeStar right here, and the pixel size and all that good stuff. All that good information comes in there. My star catalog I'm using is the Gaia DR3. And I've got the catalog limit max. The auto is set to, I don't know if the auto is 12 or not, but I think 12 is probably good enough for me. So I'll hit OK. And so it went ahead, and if you look over here on the panel over here, so it was 10.3 arc minutes. So after all that cropping and stuff, I'm 10.3 arc minutes away from where it was, the initial value that was in that photograph. So I've got that, and I'll come over here and I'm going to do color calibration. I want to do photospectrographic color calibration. You've got the sensor type that you have in there. There's you select, these are all drop-down menus, so you can see you've got all different types of sensors and stuff that you can use. Gaia DR3 catalog again, and then hit OK. So that's going to do that. Now this is, I don't know, maybe some of you other photographers can maybe tell me a little bit more about it. I have had two of these at one time that come up. I deleted one of them, so it didn't come up all the time. It has the image red-green flux versus the catalog flux. I'm not sure what it means, what's good and what's bad. Maybe if you had two clusters, that would be bad. But I don't know how to interpret this image, but this plot is available. It does come out. I just left it in here because people might want to see it. I have no idea what this plot tells you in terms of quality or where your image quality is. So right now I've got an image to work on. It's auto stretch though. So you want to go back to linear before you do any of your stretching. Simple thing you can do. Let's let that thing get away. Is that all your stretches are done here. You've got a curve stretch, you've got a histogram stretch, arc sine transformation, and a general hyperbolic transformation that you can use. If you want to automate it, if you go to a histogram, there's a little icon down here, you hit here, that's an auto stretch automatically. If you hit apply, that's going to auto stretch it right there for you if you want to. In fact, that's sometimes that stretch works really good as a starting point. Other times, no. Most of the time, folks will go through with the general this stretch right here. And just to go through basically, you can see right here, that there's all your data, because this is a star cluster, is going to be very confined. So what you can do with it is that there's a symmetry point, and the symmetry point determines which side of the is going to be stretched, and which side's not going to receive as much stretch. So if you pick a symmetry point, just basically over here, or you can pick it even in the middle if you want to. Just if you make a stretch, you'll see that your image, you'll start seeing images. Your images start to get brighter. And what I'll do is that I'll just apply it right there. I found out, and I think most people recommend it, you're better off saving it in increments. So if you, modest intensity there, stretch a little bit more, and it'll come out and you'll get some more detail there. You've also got things like shadow protection point. You can put your symmetry point here, bring that up here. It determines, once again, like I have to get into the details about it. I'm not sure about it. It determines which side of your image is going to get stretched more. Basically, that's not correct, but that's the best I can describe it. You can do that and stretch it a little bit more. You get to a point where you get something that's going to look like, boy, that's just terrible. That's all washed out. There's ways of getting the black back. Usually I'll go into a curves transformation.
Wait, Andy, Andy,
Yes.
go back to the what you're on, general hyperbolic.
You're going to do black point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like black point.
Okay.
Okay, but it is something you can do, and I can go back there and show what Steve's talking about. You can do independent channel stretches, or you can do human weighted luminance, which is a good one, which is one I generally use. You can also do this black point stretch, and what it does is it just moves your black point over. It'll darken everything like this. So you can that is a way of getting some of your background back. My preference is to come into these are always something. This is why I don't want to get into it too detailed. It works differently for different situations. You can stretch some here, and then you pull this down to pull down the intensity over here, and you can see that it gets darker. You can go here and pull this up a little bit. You can try to get that little S shape, and you can see it's starting to, you do it little by little. So you see what you're trying to do is bring out some of the detail here. So you come up here. You're going to get to a point where you're not really, like right now, I'm not bringing out any more detail. And just with that little bit of work that you've done right there, you can get an image that now looks like this from what you had at that one time. And this is something you're going to have to look at a bunch of different videos. I have a hard time now remembering what all these symmetry points and other things are that control what you're doing to your image and how you're moving your different colors around. I did not show you this, but if you were so inclined, you can stretch just one color, the blue, the green, or the red, if that's your inclination. You can just, that's available for you to do. So if you want to clown it up and give it lots of bright colors, you can just go to town there. It can really do the job. So this is about what you would do. The only other processing you might consider, at least that I might consider, would be, I believe, under filters. Let me see if I do noise reduction. If I hit apply, let's see what happens here. It should get rid of some of the graininess that's in there. See. one of the other image processing filters that you have is deconvolution. Deconvolution is going to be the roundness that you're going to have. See this picture up here? So I took out some of the worst ones. That's pretty round star right there. So you can apply that, and what it's going to do is it's going to make the stars you've got there. I believe it's going to make them nice and round, or it's going to round them up a little bit. Takes a little while to happen. Hello.
Andy, Graxpert also has a deconvolution that works really well for big stars.
Yeah. It's once again, success with. There's a whole bunch of automated tools. Just wish that damn. I know how to get that thing to go away because it's right where I need to go. What did I do? Oh, there we go. Under scripts, Python scripts, Verilux, a lot of these do a lot of different things right here. You can use those. Those are very useful, some people find. This auto BGE, this is like a window will come up and you just drop the file in there and then it goes and does everything you want it to do. It's just, you come up with an image, it's ready for, it's already auto stretched. It's very easy to use and it does a lot of stuff. Some things it works really well with, some things it doesn't. So a lot of this is just learning what to do, but you can see this is and if I wanted to save it, I could come over here, hit save, find the type of image that I want to save it with. I could save it as a TIFF if I want to bring it in the Graxpert or something like that, or if I want to work on it in the future, or if I want to just keep it as it is, I can save it as a JPEG. But you can see there also if I wanted to, and color saturation, if I really wanted to blast away the colors, you can over, this is not going to have much to it because it's a star cluster, but you can see you can really go through and brighten the image up you wanted. But that's that was the I believe that was the manual file that we did. Now the automated would be done the same way. There would be virtually no difference in the way that you would do that. You've got all these tools to adjust the quality of the photo. With this particular one right here, I would probably just for demo here, I would just go ahead and save it as a JPEG right here, and that would be it. Now I can go through and show that the presentation turns out really is nothing more than just a bunch of index cards that would be suitable maybe to go through before you would start working again with it if you've never done it before. It's just kind of a reminder of what the steps are that you would have to go through. It was more difficult, I thought, than I thought it was going to be to go through and flip back and forth. But I do have the automated one. We can process that if you'd like, or we can bring up the automated one and go through and weed out some files if you want. It's up to everybody here. Or if you're tired of hearing me drone on and looking at these sort of things like that, we can just call it an evening. It's going to be up to you. It's up to the group what they want to see. But you see, to me that's a nice. This is C1, by the way. It is the oldest globular cluster. This is a globular that we know of. It's got some of the oldest stars that we know that exist in this cluster. And that's one of the reasons it made the Caldwell list, is that Messier didn't see it, but most of the objects on the Caldwell list usually have something peculiar or unusual about it, or some sort of historical benchmark about it. But yeah, this is a nice image. I like C1. I think it's very pretty. I love the way you can see the daisy chain of the stars that are in there. So I hope this hasn't bored you too much and you've at least been able to follow some. But if you want to go through the steps again briefly, I'll be happy to. I'll be
Andy,
yes,
so could we ask some questions?
yes.
So it's not clear to me what is the order that you need to do things in, because it seems to me there must be some things you have to do first and other things that maybe the order isn't as critical. So can you, I'm trying to figure out the workflow here, and I really got lost.
The workflow really, a lot of it is going to be personal. There are some programs here that Steve, where is it under the Verilux or no? It's the what's his?
Well, it's another, isn't it?
The one that the Deep Space
Rich
Astro.
did.
Yeah, which one is that? Is that under
I
processing?
forget where it is. I'm looking.
Oh, in the there are some of these programs too that'll go through, and is there one of the Verilux one that has that in it as
It's
well?
under utility when it installs.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think you got it installed.
No, I didn't. I don't know. Install. What's it the name of it?
Workflow utility. Type
Workflow
in work.
utility.
Type work into the magnifying
Yeah.
glass.
Workflow companion.
There you go.
So
And it should be under Python scripts.
Renee, here's an example. This is a guy who's a Deep Space Astro that I would recommend watching for Siril, watching a lot of his videos. He'll go through just there's if you type something into go into YouTube and type something into the search, a particular item, there's a good chance he's got a video on that, and he's very good about the way he goes through it. But here's something he's got something that like this that tells you exactly what the functions are. You have to see, like, if you're going to do like processing Python scripts or Siril scripts, and then there's there are some programs where they do that. There's some basics that I do and I've learned to do only because it's the way I find it convenient. For instance, deconvolution, making the stars round. I probably should have done that much earlier. Getting rid of green noise is something I do almost right away. Now, you might talk to some people who have much better photographs than I have and more experience. I say, oh, no. I say green star to the end. You're going to develop your own sequence of steps that you go through. There are some other programs that go through and roughly have the sequences of operations that you go through. Cropping obviously is probably number one, is you crop stuff. Most people, number two might be the astrometry, getting the plate solve done. I usually wait till after I know I've cropped everything I need, because I want to get the center of the image that I'm looking at, so I know where it's at. You don't have to do that. You can save that. Removing gradient is something I would do. I'll put it like this. Before, I only use the stretching to bring out I only start stretching at the end so that I can bring out details. And I may save denoising to the very end, because sometimes when you stretch, you might be pulling things out. It helps to denoise the end. it really is gonna it's gonna be something that you'll have to pick up on your own. I can send you a list or email you a list of what to do first, and um, somebody else would send you something, and it might be different, quite a bit different. Uh, but I think maybe if we could get some comments from people who do this a lot better and a lot more than I, maybe following their general approach would probably be the um, maybe a better way than what I've done, the way I came about doing it. I know that doesn't help a lot, does it?
Um, Andy,
Yes.
can I share my screen for a minute?
Yes, what I do.
Unshare
Hit
yours.
stop share.
Yeah.
Okay.
I better share everything. Good. So there's a image that I did with SLU. That thing that Andy just showed everybody about the workflow thing. Here's
It
the
is
workflow thing I
customizable.
use for the SLU things. Can everybody see that off on the right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and so I do SLU. Everybody knows that. I found a script by a guy years ago. The guy's name was Eric Westerman, and ultimately, I end up taking LRGB images. And so in my working directory, I got a lights folder, and I've got an R and a G and B folders, and they go do that. And then when I run his script, it processes everything and it gives me the image that you see up on the left, this guy right here. Okay. And so the first thing I always like to do is plate solve. And so that, and it brings up the plate solve window. And if I'm lucky, this is it. And that's not the right number. That should be 36. And let's hope. And now it just plate solve the image. Did you see how it flipped it up and down? And then the next thing I like to do is photometric color calibrate it. Gotta pull this over, and that's an okay. And so now it looks like a real live picture. And the next thing I like to do is remove the green noise. And I got to pull this over and apply. And then this camera bands. And so I run banding reduction. And on this one, it's horizontals. And so I do apply. And then the next thing I can do if I want to turn up the color is color saturation. And then there's a script that I run that's called auto gradient removal. And then I actually cheat me, spent 30 bucks and bought Prism, and Prism does a great job of denoising. And then I run Graxpert, and in Graxpert, I will use it to run deconvolution to reduce the size of the stars and make them more pinpointy. And then I will run a histogram transformation and I will run the auto to get a kind of an idea what's going on. And then I'll play with curves. And usually by then I'm done. And so generally this is my workflow. And then with this script automation kind of thing, you can load other ones. And when I do SeeStar, that's mine, and that's what I do for SeeStar, and it's kind of different. And so ultimately, you use that thing that Andy said, and you can do this, and it's just wonderful because once you got your workflow, it's just click, 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 click. How'd I do? I'm done.
I've not
Steve, can you
used that yet.
change the order of the workflow?
Oh, sure. I could if I wanted to do this, and I could move it down to there. And then ultimately, I'm going to hit over here, show panel, and this is the panel whoops, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There you go. This is that panel that had everything in it, and over here it was blank when Andy loaded it up. But all you have to do to add something is over here, go into one of these scripts, and all you got to do is grab it and you drag it over, and you can put it anywhere you want. And then
Okay.
once everything's over here, you can change the order and have it do anything you want it to do.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, and then hide the panel, and then up at the top, there is this button up here that says keep it on top or not. If you keep it on top, it's on top of everything, no matter where you are. And if it's not on top, if you click on something else, it goes away, and then you have to come down here and find it. Good luck finding it. That's it. I'm going to unshare. Did I unshare? Stop
No.
share.
No.
There.
So if I go back here, yeah, Steve, I have not set that. I have not set up that way. I have not set up that way.
Okay.
Um, now I do have, let me see, where did I store that? My works maybe, was that Caldwell 2 or Caldwell 4? I think maybe that was Caldwell 4.
Now, I will admit, while Andy's looking for that thing, that I did learn something from a guy who's tuning in tonight, whose name happens to also be Mike. And Mike showed me his, and in Mike, he found that you can add like a note section, and it will say, "Now do this." And that means if you need to run out somewhere and grab something or whatever, you know how to do it, and you won't forget it.
It's an example of what you can do. Since Steve, you brought up C4, this is if you're patient and you play around with the different ways of stretching, you can bring out some of the dustiness that's in C4 object. So this will, it's basically black with the stars and the bluish color if you let the SeeStar AI do the image. Let me see if I can find it. No, not that. That must have been one, but you can see a little bit of it, and it's a little bit grainy right there. And then if you go to the, let's see, did I click the same one? There's the Siril processed image here versus the SeeStar processed. So you can see it is worth the time to go through and start learning how to do some of the stretches and stuff. Steve, did you have anything else you wanted to include about it? And I think really my comment about it is it's nice to have something processed and set out. I just have to do it. I don't know, Steve, I don't know if you've tried it. I don't know if it really makes a difference earlier on before you start doing processing, you're stretching, whether the steps really matter or not, whether there's a good way or a bad way to do it.
I think looking at some of Rich's videos that he does say you ought to do this before you do that. Though I'm not 100% sure. I remember one, and it had to do with do color corrections before you do the stretches. Because I think he said sometimes things don't get stretched equally, and so you might be stretching some stars more than others. And he's got
Yeah,
some
I
other
see what
kinds
you
of
mean.
things like that.
Yeah,
I think that's a good point. That is worth thinking about is that some of those steps should be done on the linear data before stretching. So once you stretch it, it's no longer linear, and some of these functions don't work at all, like the color calibration you just mentioned. Some of them are real flexible, I think. But I'm looking at the header here, and back to Renee's question of where do I start? If you're starting with light files and maybe you're going to calibrate them, maybe not, but if you are going to calibrate them along the way, it looks to me like if you just went left to right for the pre-processing steps, they're starting with conversion, then
Yes.
sequence, calibration, registration, plot stacking, that's a pretty good order of things to do prior to stretching and prior to noise removal with
Yeah.
whatever
Mhm,
functions
mhm.
you want to apply.
Yeah, I think, yeah, those are absolutely critical, I think, right there to get a decent image.
So they've got it left to right kind of laid out for you, at least as a starting point. And eventually you'd graduate to somebody else's pre-processing script or your own, I think, that would just run that more automatically.
This is someone had a question about if you had something that was auto processed. At that point, if you come over the sequence, see, I'm back in the auto process in the process folder. That's my work directory now. That's where all my sequences are because I ran through an auto process. And I can do search for sequences. This is a post-processing. This one's already registered. I can bring that up right there and bring up the plot, and I can go to work on that. That data is already there. I can go through and pick out the data points I don't want, come down here, pick up the list, and go through and edit all these points that I don't want. So that's what you would do if you've already run the scripts like that. There's also one, Steve, I don't know if you've used it yet. It was the Python script processing. Where is it? Or is it a utility?
The Verilux?
Oh, here it is. This Nastronomy Smart Telescope PPY. It does
I have
drizzle.
used that.
Oh, it does a wonderful job with SeeStar stuff. It does a really, really, really good job. And that one's pretty detailed. And but that's all pre-processing. That does your conversion, sequence, registration, stacking.
And you can drizzle with it.
Yes, yes, yeah. So that works out. That works out pretty well. So that's about.
I'm saying a truth to be made is that probably PixInsight is even more so than this, but there are multiple scripts that do the same job. There's probably 4 or 5 different scripts that are going to remove noise, and there are probably 4 or 5 scripts that are going to be able to maybe try to auto stretch and make everything perfect for you, and none of them work. But that's
Some of them,
besides the
yeah,
point.
there's
When
sometimes
they
you
come
run these
close,
scripts.
but after
Mhm.
you do them, you might have to go in and play with curves or something like that to make it look like you want it to look.
Yeah. And there are some scripts too that like removing noise that I've found that some work great, some are just absolutely overdo it and make give you a really kind of a nasty image. Sometimes I find some of them work, sometimes they don't. I don't know what the reason is. I know that the guy on Deep Space Astro said, sometimes they just don't work the way you like it. You could just pick any of them that seem to do the best with the data that you've got. But is there anything about what you do need to do to set up your data for manual or automated processing? Are there any questions about that? That's really, I think, the most
Yeah,
important.
I've got a question for you. I've gone to the plot and you had a list of the subframes, but I don't, how did you open that up? I have the graph
Down
in
here
front
at
of me.
the lower right-hand corner, see how the
Oh, there it
stack
is.
little,
Thank you. Yep.
yeah, you
Thank you
click it.
much.
Yeah. And then, there's this reference image too. I usually don't pick the first one because the first one a lot of times is real messy, or it's all stuck on 10 seconds when I'm in equatorial or 20 seconds when I'm in Altaz, and or whatever reason it just doesn't look as good. You can go through and just pick one of the others as a reference frame. Sometimes that matters. But here's the list down here of what you would check. Roundness, full width, half max, background, stars, exposition, Y position, that sort of thing. Yeah, there's a background. I don't know what that means, but I guess that's why it's nice to have Google. But yeah, you can go through and sort out. This is really handy with comet trails and things like that. Tree limbs, tree branches, you know, soffits on fascia on a house, that sort of stuff and ends up in your photographs you don't want.
People standing in front of your
Yeah,
aperture
and so,
when you're
yeah,
almost
yeah,
at dark.
yeah, yeah. That's why you don't get as many stars, I guess, sometimes.
So I have a question
Sure.
on the workflow. So
Yes.
it looks to me from what you're saying that most of these corrections that you're doing them post stacking.
Oh, yes.
Except, well, that's what I'm trying to tease out here. But one kind of correction you have to do before that is if you want to remove any of the fits that say have a airplane in them or whatever. Is that correct? So the big picture workflow is remove the frames that you don't want to stack, and then all the other corrections come later.
I will agree with
Is that
you,
right?
but Andy will say there is the other way that deals with that graph that's on the screen.
But don't forget calibration.
You won't calibrate for SeeStar.
I just discovered something really cool. If you pop up the list of frames and click on the column like FWHM, it'll sort with the largest values at the top, and then you can just turn off the outlier. You don't have to mess with the graph.
Yeah, one thing, the one thing you made a comment about though was, I don't think you don't if you have a bunch of exposures, like more than literally 10 or so, you don't need to get rid of ones with planes and satellites and stuff like that, because the stacking data rejection will get rid of all of that. You do want to get rid of the ones where you have bad stars or the big stars or trailed stars and things like that. But you don't necessarily need to get rid of the ones that have planes or helicopters or satellites.
The ones that really made the biggest mistake, if you've got like 20 of them that are bright because or got this big brown band across because you've run into a power line or something somewhere. I found out that taking those out does help. Helps a lot. Yeah, and sometimes just the trails get lost in the number of frames that you take. It's just there just aren't that many of them, so you don't see much image. It doesn't get in there. I'll have to try that, Dan. I'll have to find some of my nasty ones and see how that stacking actually does it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it works really well. I mean, depending on the algorithm, I know
Yeah.
when I stack stuff, if I have seven or more, I can use an algorithm and it'll get rid of any kind of trails in them.
Mhm.
Because to be honest, when you shoot in certain places, every one of my exposures will have multiple satellites to them, unfortunately.
Mhm.
And that's a problem.
Mhm.
It's not going to get better.
Yeah. Now, Renee, I think you can. If you go through manual processing with SeeStar, you load your files. You'll get your sequence. When you do that, there's no calibration like a camera or some of the camera, the real astrophotography hardware. You'll get your registration, and at that point, you can then, if you wanted to go through your plots. If you know something was bad or you wanted to check, you could then go through.
Oh, did we? Think we lost Andy.
Your plots and look at the stuff. If you're stacked, you're okay. You can still go back. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. No, I'm here. See?
Steve can't hear anybody.
Oh, okay. Steve, can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, I was just mentioning that that if once you register You can then go through it. If you wanted to check each individually by plot, you can do it after the registered. Or you can go to stack and have it stacked and then go to plot and then take things out. You can do that, I believe, anywhere. I think you can do it after registration if you did it manually. But I think what you're going to find out, Renee, is that these automated scripts are so good most of the time, especially that NAS astronomy one. You'll probably, for anything you do, you'll probably want to use that. And it would be, I would think, unless you have something really egregious, you can go back and use the plot to take out the bad data points that you want.
Andy and Steve, do you know why there's no calibration? Is it just there's so little aberration or noise, or is
Oh,
it
no, that's
or
just
is
the
it-
way they just, I mean, the whole idea of the SeeStar was to make things simple. Okay. And so what's simpler than no calibrations? It does do darks. As you start the SeeStar up and you
Yes.
go to your first target, it'll say calibrating, and that's when it's doing darks exposures. And so if you're doing like 10-second exposures, that's done in a hurry. But if you go up to like 30 seconds or a minute exposure, it takes 5 minutes to do that calibrating kind of stuff.
Yeah. Plus, it's got a fixed column. It's got the focal length and everything. Everything's housed in there. Some of the other calibrations they felt were unnecessary. You can do, if you want to, you can correct for hot pixels with the SeeStar. You just get a white field of view that's illuminated. Something like a really nice white piece of paper outside when it's sunny, or just set your phone with pure white and put it over the lens. It'll run through and it'll find the hot pixels and make corrections for that. But none of the other calibrations they deemed have been necessary to get images from the
Yep.
SeeStar.
They're saying
It would
the
break my heart to not
CMOS
have to
isn't
do
so
those.
noisy they'd have to worry about biases.
So I just did a quick look about that because I was thinking you could export dark files, but you cannot. So, the SeeStar official group says that because it's really designed for live stacking, they've done a dark correction already. So that, whatever correction they've done is already in that light file that you can export, and there's no exporting anything else.
Yeah, I
And
would
what-
suspect if you can look at the FITS header on the FITS files when you copy them off, it'll probably say it used a dark.
And I will say that Siril does have a way of pulling down one of those menus so you can look at the headers.
Like if you want to do your darks again, if for some reason big temperature changes or whatever affects darks, you just stop your data collection and restart it, and it'll redo your darks. So you at least have 2 points or 2 blocks of data that have used the same darks. So there's that as well. It won't give you a nice SeeStar image like. You might have, 4 15-minute blocks versus an hour block. You might get a prettier picture that way, but
I
can't-
think
you can't do that.
That's neat. If it saves you, because calibration is not one of anybody's favorite things. So if you don't really need it, that's pretty cool.
I have a question about one of the scripts. So the script that is SeeStar _ preprocessing, it does all the things that are shown in the tabs up there, conversion, sequence, et cetera, et cetera. Is that
Mhm.
the equivalent thing?
Pretty much so. And you can view there you go. I'm gonna say you can view the script. There he's doing it.
Okay.
See, it's calling out, some of these are, I guess, other libraries or whatever that's in there, but you can see it's doing all those things. It's registering everything, stacking. There's a registered pre-processed. It's doing its thing right there. And then this mess down here is the name of the file. And it goes through and gets some of the metadata and gives you that nice file name that tells you the object and the time and
Hey,
temperature and
fucking
all.
right.
So if you run that
Motherfuckers.
script, if you
So
run that
what?
script, then if you run that
Fuck.
pre-processing script, then you have already gone past the plot tab where you could remove
No,
Yes.
no, you go back
individual
to it.
flats.
You go back to it. You
But I
change
don't
your work.
understand how can you remove a flat if it's already stacked it?
Let's start over again. See right here, it's the C1 pre-process. Let me go to the file right here. She got a cramp. Okay, hang on. Okay, here we go. Here's the automated. This is the file that it makes when it's automated. And see, there's that nice fit file that it's got. But inside this process folder, let me see. How does this thing? I don't want to figure out how to do it on the
tag
fly.
on her question, there were several sequence files there. So
Yeah,
which one
all
do
these
you want to
sequence
pick
files
up?
are
'Cause
there.
I have exactly the same question. If I want to go back and work
Yeah.
with that plot, which sequence
There's a
file
sequence
do I
file
want?
right there. So what
That's
you
the
do is you change your working directory. Let's look right up at the very top here. See where it says process? I've now changed the working directory from C1 auto to C1 auto process. Okay. So if I go into sequence and say search sequences, there are those sequence files. They're there. You haven't lost anything.
But which one do we work with?
I would
I
guess.
would work with this one, and
Thank you.
because that's already that's pre-processed, and once you've got that, you can go to the file, and there's your data. You can start taking things out there if you wanted to. You don't lose anything by going automated. Manual is just nice to do because it gives you, at least to me, it gives you a better feel of how your data is being managed and what's going on. Once you've done that, you've gone that far, most of these scripts they're going to have files that are going to have all the sequence files and everything. They're there. So you just simply go to the sequence tab, and wherever you want to start, wherever you want to start, you can, if I wanted to go right there, pre-processed, you could go through and register those if you wanted to. Again, you can say go register, and it's going to go through and it's going to register. See it on the side, it's picking all that stuff up and registering.
So if I use the script to pre-process it, and then I
Yes.
went back and removed the fits that I didn't like, would I have to restack again
You
and
just hit the
restack
stack.
it manually?
It'll stack it all. Yeah. So if you see all that, you say, I don't want anything above 5, basically. So you just select all those right there, right click it and hit exclude selected points. You don't like this guy right here, so you go up there, exclude selected point. That one is difficult to grab. It's probably because, yeah. So now I have nothing above 5. If that's your criteria that you want, and you know that that's going to give me a better picture, you can do something like that. And from that point right there, you just go ahead and stack it.
Okay, so it sounds like there's the automated system, the automated script is only useful if you're going to use all the fits. If you're not going to use all the fits, you might as well do everything manually.
Some of the automated scripts, though, do things that are beyond conversion and registration. They'll go through and they'll make some corrections to your data on the fly. You won't see it.
I mean particularly the SeeStar underscore
Like there's drizzle.
pre-processing script, that one.
If you get a good inch, look at it and you pre-stretch it and you look at it and say, well, that's pretty dang good looking. You may not have to go through every one of these. It all depends how particular you want to be with the fits files that are on there. And then and what you're going to do. If you're just trying to get a nice photograph, quick for whatever, you make your adjustments, you might just use the automated script.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little, I hear what people are saying about that the stacking will take out things like airplane trails, but I know when I look at a stacked image that the SeeStars done, it doesn't take those out.
No.
So I don't know what's different about this. I'm just kind of doubtful that you wouldn't have to get rid of those.
The SeeStar
Maybe.
must not be doing any kind of data rejection on their internal algorithms. Data rejection is a common thing that's in every stacking program for
Yeah.
astronomy. It's kind of a fundamental thing.
May not be in Siril, or maybe it's in a preset.
I'm 100% sure Siril probably has 10 methods of data rejection
Mhm.
without even looking at it.
Yeah, Renee, the other way to know that is that doing live stacking with the normal ASI Air software, which is similar. If you do live stacking, there's no removal of trails, and it's not doing that sort of correction. It's just realigning, registering the stars one on top of the other, and and if you ask it, subtracting darks and lights, but the SeeStar is subtracting darks as well. So, but no removal of trails.
Dan, I don't know. See this sum stacking right here? I don't know whether or not average stacking with rejection, what that's going to do. There are a lot of other things that this does other than the presets. That's all I've gone through so far, the presets. So I can't say that there is or isn't something in the stacking Siril does that would take out those trails. I do know if I could just get that stinking thing off the top. I can't. What did I do to get rid of that last time? That's really annoying. Not knowing what to do. Finally.
Or no, just looking at that screen, I've never used this, but just looking at that screen you pulled up also allows you to reject images based on different things under image rejection.
Yes.
That's one way you can use the automated scripts to, pare out the bad data if you don't want to look through all of them first. I'm sure those different methods are using different kind of, pixel rejection, Sigma clipping. There's probably a few of them underneath that. Those are kind of a meeting in itself, but if you click the down arrow next to Sigma clipping, I bet there's more under there. All those will do different kinds of rejection, and I'm guessing even with a few images, any one of those is going to get rid of a satellite trail or a plane.
So your recommendation would be to just run the automated scripts and see what I get.
Sure. I mean, if there's something bad wrong with it, you could always set up a folder for manual and have both, or you could just simply go back to your sequence and register, and then go through and look at some of your the plotted data. I believe if I click on down here, auto stretch, yeah, you can go through and see. There's one I got rid of, but you can actually see what's there, for stuff that's, what's what is it about that one frame that you does not like about it. So I have used it and done this, like when you get up into the neighbor's roof, you'll see that you're getting a nice picture of, well, kind of a bad picture of the sky and his roof. And, you can get rid of stuff that way. So, I've done it both ways. It doesn't, the nice thing is that it really doesn't take a whole lot of time to do either way. The automated is nice because you get a quick image, and sometimes the image is good enough to keep. If it's an image that I'm trying to improve upon a little bit, maybe over what the SeeStar has, that's for a submission for an AL program, I might not worry so much about some of the details. If it's something for a photographic contest, I might be, a little more particular about stuff.
Andy, in general, how many subs are you using?
How many subs?
Uh-huh.
What are subs? I mean,
Well, sorry, each little go ahead, Dan.
Exposures, frames.
it varies. So I might have as little as 25, sometimes as many as maybe 200 or 300. Let me see. Can you still see my file here?
Yep.
Let me see. I've got frames. Here's 180. There's 284, 677. Here's 25. That might have been something that was a bear to get a hold of. See, here's a 19 and a 15. I got some of these that are not really good. Here's a 384. The ones that are really, really high are probably 10-second exposures. The ones that are like 181 with an equatorial 20-second exposure, that's like an hour, basically.
Yeah.
Hour, 18 minute.
Wouldn't the number of exposures you have really have a lot to say on whether you wanted to automate or not? Because if you've got 300 exposures, you don't want to do that manually.
No. Yeah, like some of these down here, probably, I could go through manually and save myself some time in the long run by, if I want to get a telephone pole out of it for whatever reason. But yeah.
That was kind of to help you, Renee, that automation, I think the more exposures you have, the more automation is going to help you not waste your time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And especially when you've got programs too, like this one right here, this guy that has an astronomy YouTube site, he made this program. It's fairly involved in terms of cleaning up images that are really, really kind of a mess. Does a really, really good job. You might really want to use that as a first go-to.
I think the challenge here is that because I've tried playing around with Siril a little bit, and I try to do things, and I get dialogue boxes with 10,000 things I have to pick, and I have no idea what to do. Even if I'm doing quote automated things.
Unfortunately, that's a common thing. Serials like that, Pix Insight's worse. Before these programs, no one did it automated, or they use very trivial scripts. It's just people are taking more and more exposures now, and they're getting bigger and bigger. I don't have a good answer on that one. I'm not sure anybody does.
My mic is on, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Hey, Renee, when you talk about those dialogue boxes that pop up, that's the coin of the realm in this gig. That is absolutely, I laughed at that because, yeah.
And a lot of times, if they're default settings, and it'll run with the default settings, just go with those.
Yeah.
Yeah, the defaults usually work out pretty well. I don't know enough, and I don't think I've not found anything on the YouTube channel yet or questioning stuff through like Google typing in asking what so and so means. that comes across with an explanation that means a lot to me because I don't really understand some of the aspects of electronic photography and what the implications are. So it's very difficult sometimes to know what setting, should I change from this
So
default?
as a newbie, let me jump in here. I use Perplexity AI, and one of the things that I asked it to do was talk to me like I'm a newbie. And it has
Yeah.
been really good at explaining some of this complicated stuff to me in language I can understand.
Thank you, Art. I was going to ask that question, especially for new people. How does AI really help with these tools? And you're giving good feedback there. Thanks.
Yeah, I actually pay for Perplexity because it quotes sources, and I found it's really reliable. It doesn't hallucinate very often at all, and I can always chase through to the underlying source. And I set up a project workspace where I could give it background instructions. And I said, okay, I'm new to astronomy, and I have this telescope, and I have these eyepieces and this telescope, and pretend you're a really knowledgeable member of the local astronomy club, and you're trying to coach me. And it's been really helpful.
What tool you call that? Perplexity?
Perplexity.ai.
Perplexity.ai. Perplexity.
That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah,
You
they've got a
mentioned
free version.
hallucination. I've
Yeah,
been having a hell of a time with GPT and that hallucinating thing.
Exactly. And Perplexity's thing is always link to the actual source and try and keep the hallucinations down. So, it's better at some things than others. I found, like if I'm asking it for specific instructions, how to drive Siril or FreeCAD or something like that, sometimes it gets the wrong version and the instructions aren't exactly right. But when I'm asking it informational questions, this eyepiece, that eyepiece, this telescope, it's given me pretty solid information. And then I'll go back. It'll often link to Cloudy Nights, and I'll learn more there.
Okay. There you go, Renee. AI is your friend.
Until I build it in your backyard.
Oh, I love it. I love it, man. My property values to go up.
Does any of that help?
Andy, I got personally, I got a lot out of it because I never used Siril, and I've owned PixInsight for a decade, and I don't use a lot of things in it. And it's nice to see that Siril has a lot of the same tools, and they actually act a lot very similar. They use the same terminology as PixInsight on a lot of them, and I foresee a day when Siril is the go-to program for processing images.
Well, I hope it helps. There's some other little nice functions you can in here too. God doggone it. I need to examine my head sometimes. I get so lost.
For
If I
those
go
of you
back.
who use Siril, can I ask you a question? How do you get the images to come up? I've just been playing with it today, so I'm really new at this. And I've got a lot of experience with Darktable, and so I can get an image to pop and not blow out the highlights. And I'm really struggling with the various stretches in Siril to find one that will bring the brights up and get it to pop and not blow out the background. And maybe I'm just struggling because I've only got data from last night, both at Primalseek and at home, and neither night was it really dark. And maybe that's the only problem. But I can get images that look nice, but they don't pop.
In Siril?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't do anything for you. It lets you tell it what to do.
I understand, but now, which stretches of the various stretches have you found any that really bring the brights up and boost the contrast and don't blow out the background? Because I'm struggling with that. I've got some good tools at Darktable. I don't have any trouble with it.
Well, I think anybody that's done stretching, you can take any of those tools right there. There's no one simple thing that's going to do all of that at one step. You have to, there are a couple ways of increasing contrast. There's ways of, you have to learn how to, it's maybe like riding a motorcycle. I mean, at some point you've got to grab the handles and you have to be told what you need to do. But it's you can't just sit on the motorcycle and just it's going to go and go around corners and stuff for you. At some point you've got to get in there and stretch. And this is where these little
Okay, I get it. Yeah, I was thinking that there would be something more advanced there. And okay, cool. Thank you. I
The
understand.
best
well,
way.
auto stretch down here, that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah.
But when you go in,
This is just for me coming from a photography background. It's like jumping back 10 years in time to the level of tools that are available for.
Yeah.
for
I mean,
managing
the best way to
content.
do it is to separate it out with Starlink and then work on your background and then work on the DSO. And
Yeah.
and after you're happy with both of them, put them together. And
Yeah.
then to work on the DSO, the best thing really is the general hyperbolic stretch.
you.
Unfortunately, it is the hardest of the bunch to learn how to use.
yeah,
It's okay. I was having the best luck with that one actually. So thank you.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
these highlight protection points and shadow protection points, you can use that to keep some areas from being overblown out. So it protects areas from when you do your stretch from getting overstretched. And then your local stretch intensity, but most of the time you might find yourself going back and forth between that and the curve stretch.
And
The only
what I may
one,
just do is export from, get as good as I can with Siril and export a TIFF and take it over to Darktable because there's some amazing tools there that will handle the stretch and contrast much better than this. But nothing there will do the stacking and deal with the what am I trying to say? The gradient background.
well, the curves will handle background. You
Yeah,
can
this-
darken you can darken a background with curves stretching.
Oh God, what I'm trying to say is, I don't want to take this conversation down a rat hole. We've been here a long time, but it's like trying to do this with all hand tools in an age when battery operated power tools have been invented.
Well, Dan, is there any are you aware of any astrophotography that's gonna do all the stretching and everything that you want with one click?
No, there's nothing that'll do that. There's just too many different ways of doing things, and it's changed. We've been on this Zoom for 2 hours, and there's probably a new method out since we started. There's no automated way of doing it, and I understand what I guess Art's saying, but it's not. There's so many tools. This is a huge tool bag. It's like having a tool chest in the back of your car, and it takes a lot of years to figure out which door to go to and which tool to pull out of it. And if we had everyone that joins these meetings, 50 people on here, you'd ask 50 people, and they'd be using 20 different stretches.
Yep.
And it's just one of those questions that's really hard to answer. Because some of you guys are talking about taking stars out and putting stars back in. I don't do any of that stuff. I still process like I'm in 2010, and I use the hyperbolic stretch now, and that works for me. That'll do all the stretching everything what you want, and I'm just not one that fiddles with this. I think it's too artsy to manipulate the stars but not the other, or vice versa, so I don't do that. And But there's just so many different stretches that we could have a meeting on that, and someone could talk about a stretch every month for a year. All the stretches in Siril are very similar to PixInsight and all the other astronomy tools now.
I like your analogy about the toolbox, is the fact that just in the 2 hours that we've been talking, somebody else added another drawer to your toolbox.
Yeah, it's constant now. There's so many people doing it now.
Yeah, the only advice I would give you if you're using like any of the stretches is stretch a little, apply it. Stretch a little, apply it. You'll get a better result than trying to stretch everything at one moment and applying it. So, you know, my experience with it is just that it's frustrating. There's a learning curve, and don't do it when you only have 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You do it when you're feeling nice, because at the end, chances are you're going to feel like crap.
Yeah.
And save as long as you go.
That. Yeah, absolutely.
There's always tomorrow. You got your files, you got your fit files or whatever data, you can, you know, it doesn't affect that. So that's a good thing.
But don't wait until you're 70 to do that.
Well, if I waited till 72.
I guess I should say one more thing about this. It's like everybody can put their home working directory where they want to put their home directory. Okay. I put mine on my desktop, and it's a folder that's called working, and I copy everything into it that I want to work on. And I might work on 5 or 6 different things in terms of the day. And one by one, I'll pull the stuff over, and it's easy to find and it's easy to maintain. And the best thing about it is that the process folder has a tendency not to be deleted. And so if you're working in different home directories all over creation, you're crapping up your hard drive with lots of stuff that it doesn't need after it's done. And with one working directory that you always work out of, you can delete it at any time.
There's an example of mine. I just kept it under a directory called WHIP. So anything I'm not happy with, I keep under there. And then when I'm finished with it, I'll take the finished product only and move it over to my works. You know, I'll plop it into one of these right in here without the sub on it. Yeah. But everybody will find, you'll find what works.
For non-SeeStar users, SeeStars store your pictures and stuff on the SeeStar itself in a folder called My Works.
Yeah.
Yeah, one other thing I would mention is that all those stretches and everything works so much better when your starting image doesn't have a bunch of gradients in it and things like that. So you definitely want to work on those before you do any kind of stretching or colors or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm assuming probably 90% of the SeeStar users will never ever want to do anything like this. They'll look at us and think that's way too much work for too little gain. But there are other people. We have a guy, Fred Zimmer, in this group that he's a longtime photographer, got into astro imaging, makes really good images from St. Peter's.
Really nice images.
Where the light pollution's terrible. And, you know, he finally bought him a SeeStar S30. I don't know if it's a Pro or whatever.
Yes, Pro. I believe so.
And he's taken it up to Danville and Dark Skies. And he's made images, no calibration frames or anything. You know, he's a guy that's an expert processor in PixInsight. And his images, you can't tell that they didn't come off of a $10,000 telescope setup. And so, I mean, there's a lot that can be done. These SeeStars, you know, you can make fantastic, you know, magazine quality images out of them by using tools like this, but it's a lot of art and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else on SeeStar stuff? I was going to hit the stop record button if we're done.
Well, I think I'm pretty well done. Although if someone wants to talk about more stuff, I'm happy to talk. But
See on that screen what I do. I don't know if it's decade-old processing, but you see it, you were moving that hump around, you use the curve type to move it over to the right a little bit, and then you use on PixInsight, then you use the linear to move the black point back, and you do that 2 or 3 times, and that kind of gets you a fairly decent stretch. Now you're doing what I call still Adobe Photoshop curves. And
Yep.
yeah. So that's shoot, even though that's partially stretched. I mean, I'm not brought out the other detail. I mean, to me, to me, that looks good. I like that. Maybe darken it up a little bit, but I've got all the colors. I mean, it's sure there's some detail that's left there that could be stretched, but I still think that's I still think that's an attractive photograph. And that was just something that, I just did with curves and a little bit of hypergym, the hyperbolic. So it all depends, that if I'm submitting something for a AL program league and I need a picture, there you go. I want oohs and ahs, maybe I need to take more exposures. Looks a lot better than that.
It's always a tough one though, Andy. You can get, like with stuff that Dan and I are doing, you can get a pretty good result in an hour, but the rule of squares, if you want to double it, you got to go to 4 hours. If you want to double that, you got to go to 16 hours. So is 1 hour good enough or 16? I like the 1 hour alternative.
I'm with you.
For instance, I could do a mosaic to get the North American nebula. So that's if I do 3x, which will get most of it in there, that's 9 times the number of amount of the exposure. And then you're saying, gosh, I could go to 32 hours possibly to get a really nice picture of the North American nebula. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Get that many hours of good nighttime?
Yeah, that becomes your limiting factor. How long does it take to get that many hours?
Yeah, it took me 3 years to get the California Nebula with my setup. So,
well, the one good thing is that it doesn't move.
Yeah.
At least next year it'll be in the same spot.
That is nice with that new S30 Pro. Boy, that thing's got a huge field of view.
It is.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the images Fred Zimmer locally here was getting out of that. Really amazing.
Yeah, Fred, he showed me some other pictures. Fred has done an amazing job with some exposures. It's just gorgeous stuff. And it's even on the SeeStar itself. I mean, some of the images are just spectacular.
It has a neat sense that it's certainly allowing, you don't have to spend $10,000 to start into this hobby. And it's allowing people to do some surprisingly nice stuff.
It is.
Right out of the box.
Yeah, and it takes them, they get out of their car, they set it on the level it, I guess, and set it on the ground. And
yeah, there's certainly some people being snobbish about that, but I think it's neat what it's allowing people to do.
I found a used one at High Point Scientific and it showed up Saturday, and I just got to shoot with it last night for the first time and kind of blew me away. I shot some out of Bromelseek in equatorial mode, and then I just brought it home and set it on a table and left it in alt-az mode and went to bed and let it run until the battery was dead. And I got up this morning and I've got some surprisingly good data considering how much light there is around my house.
That was my next question. How well do they handle light pollution?
Well,
I don't know. I have nothing to compare it to.
It does have an internal light pollution filter, but it by default switches the light pollution filter on and off depending upon the kind of target you're doing, whether it's, I'll say, a globular cluster or a galaxy or a nebula. And ultimately you can turn the light pollution filter on and off, but you sometimes have to, how can I describe this? If you say go to pick something, go to M32, okay? It'll go to M32 and it'll start the exposures. But if it's got the filter on and you want it off, you got to stop the exposure, turn it off, and then turn the exposure on again.
Does it actually have a little filter wheel built in then?
Yeah, you can hear it go clunk clunk inside there as it flips the filters in place. It's got
cool.
It's got an
I also have
filter, an IR cut filter, and it's also got a what is it? Low pass? Is that what they call it? High pass for the globular clusters, and it's got light pollution.
There's more. I've got a little attachment that's 3D printed that you can screw in anything 2-inch filter that you want. So you could go through all the filters that an astrophotographer would normally use if you want to, or you could just use a higher quality light pollution filter. It depends on what you want to do. Now that attaches to the outside.
That's really cool.
But you can actually do that. You can put any filter you buy. If you've got a hydrogen or sulfur filter, you could put that on the SeeStar and shoot through it and then change the filters later on. It's possible. It's doable.
That's really neat.
Yeah, Tally, for the more advanced people too, these things they have alpaca belts built in, so now you can actually connect to them with Nina and stuff like that and do all the normal things.
Oh, so you could control it with Nina? Holy cow.
You can control it with Nina. You can actually control it through the internet. It's got some internet-based cloud stuff that you can use. You can do anything you can do with a normal setup, you can do on one of these now.
That's really impressive.
For a whole lot less money.
yeah. I was looking at the SR30 and the SR50, $600 or less. That's amazing. When we're talking about, let's see, my mount costs $16,000, and then it goes up from there.
That's a silly question for you guys in New Mexico. Would it cost you any more other than the drive down there to have a SeeStar and put it on a shelf somewhere and work it from there too?
No. I mentioned that before. I don't know enough about the SeeStars. I've thought about, trying to get someone to get one and then mount it on a wall or something and then give access to it to the club. From what I understand, there are places now that have hundreds of SeeStars mounted that people are using remotely.
I think that place down in Texas is doing a lot of them.
The place down in Texas had a deal, and I don't know if they thought this through, but they were going to charge, I don't know, was it $200 a month to put your SeeStar down there? But they were going to also run a program where you could rent the SeeStar from them, and they would put it on the shelf for $200 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, that's more expensive than putting a normal telescope down there.
Renee and Art, I will send my cue cards to Dan, and maybe that will be enough refresher if you have some questions about just getting started to get something in the machine so that you can process. That's about all that I think that I could accomplish in 2 hours. I hope that it's helped you get a little bit better handle, at least getting started with Siril, because I started with Siril with YouTube and I spent a lot of time. looking at stuff and not understanding, a whole lot of anything. I still got a lot more to learn, but I hope this has helped some, at least get you started.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see your slides as well.
Yes, um, I can email it to you, or I can send it to Dan, and then he can have a place to pick it up or look at, whatever.
Yeah, whatever works for you, that's fine.
Mhm. Dan, is that something you can help with? You did
Yeah,
mention
send
you
them
could
to
do that.
me.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
once this is over, it takes a while for Zoom to convert the videos or whatever, so I can upload them to YouTube. But I'll try to do it sometime tomorrow. Typically, what I do is I'll take your slides, and I'll make an email. I take your slides, give a link to that, and then I give a link to the video at the same time, and I'll post it somewhere.
Yeah.
And I can include Renee. I think you email me every time to send you the link, so I just
Yeah, I have.
you or something on it.
Yeah, you've got my email, so.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan,
to
Yeah.
are you putting these slides in the newsletter?
Yes.
Hey, Renee, I don't know what you have to do to get on the mailing list. Are you on the ASEM mailing list for the newsletter?
I don't think so.
Okay, because they do this a lot. The newsletter, Dan always puts in like slide decks from other
I
presentations.
think,
So,
I think what it is Greg is on the list
okay,
because he forwarded me your last newsletter.
okay.
Hey,
That's just a
Renee.
heads up.
Oops. Renee and Art, check the chat.
I have a check mark for that.
and bar, there's
Come on.
I see the chat. What am I looking for here?
Down on the tab, I hope that have sent you a video, not a video, a picture of the workflow that I use on a
Thank
SeeStar.
you. Downloading it now.
Oh boy.
Thank you much.
Got it.
I'll send it to everybody, but I thought those would be the only two who'd want it.
Long fucking